Assuming that you're doing everything right, your calories are in check, your protein is in check, you're getting your step count in. For most people, 10,000 to 12,000 steps is a good spot. You're eating high protein, and you're doing all the fundamentals, the baseline activities to get you in a calorie deficit for you to lose fat, then you are probably losing fat. The scale just hasn't told you what, or hasn't given you the full picture of what is actually happening at the moment. And so fat loss probably happened yesterday or the day before and fat loss is actually happening today as well. You're just not patient enough to actually see the fat loss. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see most people make when it comes to losing fat and keeping it off and basically getting to their desired goal, body weight and body fat percentage, is that they let the scale fluctuations, the day-to-day fluctuations, affect their enthusiasm and their overall demeanor as far as like their progress is concerned. And the thing about weight fluctuations is that water retention could drastically mask the amount of fat loss that you're losing. A 500 ml bottle or glass of water is literally a little over a pound. And so if, for example, the previous day you had a decent amount of sodium as compared to what your body is used to. Okay, let's say you had a Chinese meal, you went to a Chinese restaurant and you had a Chinese meal. Typically they are known for their high sodium content. Or let's say you even had like noodles, which is typically high in sodium, but then you were still able to fit it within your calorie range. You still got your protein, you still got your step count and all of that. The mere fact that the usual sodium composition of your meal was different from the previous day when you were probably eating plain potatoes and chicken versus the day that you had the noodles could drastically change the number that you're seeing on the scale as a result of the higher sodium content. Most of these meals, especially when you eat out, are also spiced with like MSG, monosodium glutamate. That could also drastically increase the amount of water your body holds onto the next day. That doesn't have any bearing on fat loss. As far as you're in the deficit that day, your body oxidized fat. The fluctuations mean nothing on the grand scale. Another thing that masks the illusion of progress is hormonal fluctuations. And typically we see this in women when they are going through their period. They typically hold more water, they are bloated as a result of the fact that their overall cortisol levels are typically higher during that period, and so they tend to retain more water. Some of them could gain as much as 5 to 10 pounds during this period, but then it eventually comes back down. They have the whoosh effect, and then eventually homeostasis is established. And so if you are actively trying to lose fat during that period, the best option here is to be patient. You have to understand these dynamics and then you adjust accordingly. The next thing is the amount of food volume and digestive motility that you are having. If the previous day you consumed an overall of maybe 2 kilos of food, but then for some reason you find yourself hungrier today, and so you decided to bulk up your meals. You decided to add, high volume vegetables, you ate maybe a huge bowl of salad. It's going to take a while for that to like completely pass through you as a result of the fact that the overall food volume has changed. If you ate 2 kilos of food the previous day and today you're hungry, as a result of that, you volumized your meals even whilst tapering down your calories. You could see a different number on the scale just as a result of the fact that the composition of the meal is different, and so your body has not fully gotten rid of that or gotten used to processing that amount of food volume. So that's also going to cause that. You might be bloated the next day after eating a ton of veggies to volumize your meals and to create that satiety effect. The important thing to do here is to be patient anytime there are these little dietary changes. Anytime there's an adjustment that you make, anytime there's a hormonal fluctuation, you have to be cognizant about it. You have to stay present and be patient and understand that it's important to have the eagle's eye view. And sometimes that's why it's important to have a coach, because they could actually take their emotions out of these things and they can paint you a clearer picture of what exactly is happening as a result of the fact that you've relinquished control and you've trusted them with that particular insight that they give you. They're able to get you to your designated end. Another thing that could actually also cause some of these weight fluctuations is, or mask the illusion of progress, is inflammation from things like training, from exercises, especially legs. I notice personally that when I train my legs very intensely and I'm sore, it tends to hold water. There are times I could train my legs so hard and probably I could carry 4 to 5 pounds over the course of the next 3 to 5 days of just inflammation and water retention in my legs. And also sometimes from, cortisol rise as a result of the fact that you've put some strain and stress on the body. So that could also mask the illusion of progress and scale weight. So what you have to do when it comes to progress tracking, because you still have to track your progress in an objective capacity, in my opinion, because to me, I believe that the scale is somewhat subjective as a result of the previous things we just talked about. The scale could be subjective. There are so many variables that affect it. But a more objective way of tracking progress would be things like tape measurements, things like how do your clothes fit? Do you feel like those trousers are getting looser? That shirt is getting looser, that blouse is getting looser. Things like how is your strength maintaining in the gym? Are you maintaining strength? Are you getting stronger? Or are you like drastically losing strength in the gym? Because that could be a sign of muscle loss, which you also have to take cognizance of and then see whether you have to reverse out of the diet or take a diet break or slow things down. Because the last thing you want to do is lose strength when you're cutting. Unless, of course, you're prepping for a bodybuilding competition and you're like 2 weeks out from the competition. At that point in time, you are very fragile and strength loss is almost somewhat guaranteed. But objective tracking is important. Progress photos. Take progress photos every 2 to 4 weeks, because that's when you could actually see visible progress of your transformation taking place. And so objective tracking is one of the mental strategies you use, even if the scale is not budging, if it's not coming down. By focusing on some of these other metrics, you could ensure that you stay sane and stay the course during your dieting phase. Another concept I would like to talk to you guys about would be the concept of the weekly low. So most people take their weight for the week on like one day of the week. So they might weigh themselves once a week on like a Saturday or like a Sunday morning or a Monday morning, which I don't typically support. I like people to weigh themselves every single day and then take the weekly average. But an addition to this that could actually help you mentally as well would be that you should also focus on a weekly low. So you still take the average of the week, but then make sure that you are hyper focused on establishing a weekly low for the entire week, which you keep track of in your head, or you could write down as like a mental boost so that you are assured that weight loss is actually happening. But then you still keep track of the weekly averages to see how the trend follows. But keep track of the weekly low for your sanity. That's another way to play the mental game. Because if you just see that your weight drops one day of the week, you know something is happening, and it keeps you in a groove, it keeps you in the game, it keeps you mentally strong. And it also makes you stay on your regiment. You're able to stay strict with your diet. You keep doing your cardio. Actually, I find that anytime I see like a slight, even if it's 0.2 pounds or 0.4 of a pound, I see it, I'm encouraged to do my cardio. I'm encouraged to go hit the weights. You see, so that's another mental game that you should play around with. It's very important. It helps a lot. The last concept that I want to imbue inside you before we wrap up the video is the idea that fat loss is mostly a game of consistency. And so patience is probably the greatest and the most profound thing that you could adopt as a fat loss multiplier. And that's because the more patient you are, the more in the process that you can become, the more present you can become, the more objective you can become with regards to your progress, with regards to adjusting along the way. Because if you are impatient, and you are bound to make so many mistakes out of impulse, out of impulsivity. Oh, the scale didn't go down this week, and so I'm adjusting my calories and I'm increasing my cardio. And when you do those things, you stress the body. It is too much too soon. The goal here is to be patient enough to be able to see the trends and see what is happening. For example, you don't get taller by checking your height every single day. Most people only go and find out their height at some point when they visit the hospital and they decide to check. But fundamentally, Checking is like wanting to increase your finance, okay, your bank account, the amount that you have in there, and then checking your bank account every single morning, every single day is not the way to actually get you to become financially savvy or financially independent. You actually have processes that you follow by saving, by investing, by actually trying to make more money than you are actually expending or using. So you cut down your expenses, you make sure that you're able to save more money than you're using or spending every single month. That's how you make more money. That's how you save more money. And so the process is what you should focus on. And the only way that you can stay consistent with the process is if you are patient enough to zoom out and see things from a broader perspective. And so patience trumps literally every other thing when it comes to fat loss. So that's it for this video, guys. If you liked the video, if it provided any form of value to you, like the video, okay? Welcome to the family. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on post notifications so you get updates anytime I drop new content. If you need help, fat loss help, muscle building help, if you're trying to gain strength in the gym, reach out to me on Instagram at Noel_forging strength. Let's chat. Let's get talking. Leave other comments in the comment section below, whatever you think about this video and ideas for future videos. Leave that in the comment section and I'll make that as soon as possible. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.